Before you went to university, a little bit about the schooling life. What did you go to? Was it just a school, small village school?
Yeah, it was a traditional upbringing. I mean, the funniest thing is I've always had this. We had traditional Spanish, which is a mixed co-ed school. So there's where there's two forms entry for every single year. And then obviously our primary school goes from age 4 to age 13, and then you go into high school. So it's more similar to the American system.
And how was school? Were you excelling? Were you know what was how was life in school for you? It's basically one of the things that I've noticed in everyone's journey is there seems to be small tiny links to how they found school. So some people were disengaged and didn't really enjoy school. Some people loved school and really thrived, and it's quite interesting. I've started to notice some somewhat patterns. So I just try to touch on the schooling and then the education path to see, because what I want to try and show as well on the podcast is, it doesn't really, what I've noticed, there is no actual link to whether someone was successful in school or not successful in school. It's really about how they progressed in life and how they deal with adversity more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was a goody two shoes, as I mentioned to you. So I was the typical A student, just prolific, not perfect. So I was just constantly on the go. I love talking. I love playing. I love. It was very interesting. I was one of those kids who just has constant and this inquisitive mind, and I was completely out of. I always felt that I was out of place because everybody was, although I was a child that I just wanted to do good and I wanted to do well, and I did because I was a very, you told me what to study, but I questioned everything. And I, from the why to the doctor as to why you giving me this medicine,
yeah,
to the teacher as to, but why can we not do this in another way? So that got me into trouble. Because it was kind of like, well, sometimes it was answers like, well, this is what it is. And it was like, but no, but that doesn't make sense. I want to, I want to do things and I want to do them for the right things. And I want to understand what I'm doing. So I was always a very keen learner. And then also that meant that because I was a keen learner, I was keen to just participate in as many different things as possible. So, my mom took me to English lessons. She took me to basketball lessons, to swimming lessons. She wanted me at a time when it was not really traditionally for us. It was not really about having loads of things. I was doing things that probably other children weren't. And the one thing that was very interesting is at the age of 12, I think is we were assessed on an IQ. And at that time you were told, well, you need to pursue a high school on science or a high school in language, in what is called language, so English, literature and stuff like that. And they just had a meeting with my mom, and it was kind of like, well, Raquel can really choose what she wants, but the problem is that she has too many ideas. So she's not clearly defined. And it was like, my mom was like, okay, but that's fine. She can choose whatever she can just, it's okay to be diverse in terms of,
yeah,
you
of course.
follow a single path. So my mom was really cool about that. So that was great. And then obviously, that led me then, I mean, a very interesting fact, something that I've always been very proud. I was number 3 of beautiful girl in the class, at least as I left school. Not number 1, number 2, but number 3. Hello. At least that I rank on something. They didn't.
Yeah, okay.
But it was quite funny to leave the school with that ranking. So yeah, so then we went into high school, and obviously I discovered partying. So
Oh, did you? Okay.
and God, that was interesting. Actually, just one step back, I finished. So yeah, so I finished the school, and so I took English as my language, and then my mom had this fantastic idea as to, well, you've already been learning English for a while in primary school, so why don't you just take another language? And I speak French, so I'll try to help you. So I thought, oh, that's fantastic. I'll do that. So what happens? I failed the bloody exam, and that means I can't go into the same high school as my friends because I failed the bloody English exam, which it was horrendous. It was kind of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've
Yeah.
passed every single exam, but then now is, this English exam is just over my head. So it was just horrendous. So that meant that I had to go to a completely different path from my friends, start in a high school that I knew
And so
nothing about.
how did you find that? Obviously, because most people end up going to the school of their choice or getting to be with their friends. So how is that for you? Sort of the first time your path's been split away from you.
Yeah, it is. And it was a very interesting, it was a very, very hard time, to be honest, because you are 13, your hormones are all over the place. And then that means that, you have your friends that are in a completely different space. You don't know absolutely no one. You don't know where you stand. And you have to start making your place. So that's a bit of that was a bit of an issue. As I said, it was a very disconcerting times because because of the hormones and you're a teenager and everything is okay. So, and then everybody started, so I went into myself and I became very introvert. So which meant that, because I was introvert, my mom thought that I was into drugs and I was into all sorts of things. And the reality is that I wasn't. I was just a grumpy teenager that just locked herself away and just didn't want to do anything really more than anything else. But and then of course then you make friends, you start going out, and then suddenly you discover partying, and God, that was the end of my good grades.
Okay.
So that was the very interesting years.
Okay.
I still have teachers asking me, how did that happen? How did you go from being an A student to a
To
failed student? And I was like, I don't know. Perhaps I just really
would
didn't
you,
enjoy it anymore.
And this is Raquel Cadal. If you have any more questions or want to know a little bit more about how we work and how we can potentially work together, just drop me an email at thegreenlandlady@gmail.com. Thank you very much and have a good evening.